All right, guys, welcome to the Roger Roscoe Show. Hey, got Mr. Joel Fedor here. He's going to tell us about an idea that we're thinking about doing. All right, Joel.
Hi, everybody. Roger, Ash, good job. Hey, you know, we go to the council meetings, and I think it'd be a good idea afterwards. I'm kind of a slow thinker, I guess, in some of the questions or things I'd like to say at the meetings. So I think I'd like to do like a meeting breakdown where we talk about things that didn't get asked or weren't answered maybe completely or clearly at the meetings, you know, after the council meetings. So that's kind of what my thought was.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea because that's happened to me many times, even being at a meeting where I'll walk out and say, oh man, I wish I would have said this or asked that, and man, I think that's a really good idea, Joe.
Yeah, so we'll, you know, I didn't think about this. We didn't think about this until after this last meeting. So I only have a couple things from this last meeting, which was a biggie. But I'll keep better notes at the meetings of things to follow up on. If you guys haven't heard, we had a kind of a big one last week with the police chief. Sounds like he's coming for us right now.
I know. I hear the sirens, man, but I'm kind of used to it by now.
But anyway, one of the things we had at this meeting was the movement in town to remove the police chief from service. You know, it was kind of weird the way it was brought up. It was brought up under the goal setting section of part of the council meeting, and people were talking against him and for him. There was a lot for him. There was a lot against. It was kind of nice little debate there. But you know, one of the questions I had afterwards was, you know, we're talking about one of the things they were asking about for the goal setting. They asked the council members, and they all agreed the top two things really was economic development and public safety. The question I had later was, those two go hand in hand. If we do get rid of the chief, well, there's a buyout. So not only are we creating instability in our police force, we are also going to cost the city money. So that was something that came to me later because I didn't think of it then.
Yes.
Right on, man. And so that was one thing. The other thing that came up towards the end of the meeting was the police station and the rebid. They came to a vote. They said they wanted to rebid the exact same project without changing anything. So they haven't changed the plans. They haven't changed anything on it. The PLA is still in effect, which is the project labor agreement, and they're going to send it out to rebid. That will be interesting. The last time it went to bid, I think it came back at about $800 a square foot, which I would love to live in a house for $800 a square foot. $800 a square foot. So we're kind of doing the exact same thing and expecting different results.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about that is I believe, if I remember right, Measure P passed by one vote. So when people say, hey, my vote doesn't really matter, hell yeah, it matters, man. It matters a lot.
You know, sidebar, that's interesting. It passed by one vote. Should we have had a recount?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I actually called for that. I was actually... I wanted I was hoping one of our city council guys would at least ask for a recount, because usually if you do a recount, sometimes those numbers move different ways. I mean, maybe it would have ended up gaining more votes, or maybe it would have ended up losing by a vote or two. So
yeah, it would have been.
I think somebody should have done a recall. Whoever wasn't a recount, if someone wasn't for the station and they were on that city council, they should have asked for a recount.
Yeah. That would have been interesting. Something else that I thought of later is we're paying a construction manager $500,000 to manage that police station project. Ash has got it, but we had Ken Gray was a what is it called? Community Development Projects Coordinator.
Yeah.
For $200,000 for 2 years, he could have done that job. Anyway, it just seems like we're spending money in silly ways.
Yeah. And the Ken Gray was the ex city manager that was voted out, and they created this position for him, paying him, I believe, $100,000 the first year, around $90,000 the second year, so close to a couple $100,000. And well, actually, Joel, the worst part was they didn't. We couldn't get that contract. I tried a couple times for a couple years to get it. And it wasn't until the contract was over, just a few months ago, I was able to actually get my hands on it with redactions. It's that paper that Ashton actually took from us right now. But so they created a position for the ex-city manager, and they paid him a lot of money. So when they talk about safety, it's I always think, hey, how could you have money for that contract, but you don't have it for any safety? You don't have it for safety for like extra police patrols or anything else that has to do with safety. That's where that money should have went first, man. That's just my opinion on it, but contract's very telling, man.
Yeah. We're kind of going down the rabbit hole a little bit, but we're just starting out. It's going to be a little rough as far as the breakdown of the meetings. I'd like to kind of talk about really what happened at the meetings and unanswered questions and maybe incomplete answers. But it is all tied together.
Yeah,
and
so it'd be good to ask questions, and then we could actually work maybe on getting some answers.
I would love to see answers. I'd love to see comments on the videos. Hey, of people asking, hey, what about this? What about that? I think we're pretty readily available. If you want to get a hold of us privately, message us.
Yeah.
If you don't want to blast something out on YouTube or whatever with your name on it.
I like to blast.
One thing that this is my opinion. Selma does have a gang problem. I agree with that 100%. But the gangs I'm talking about are downtown, and that concerns me. That concerns me greatly. So, anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, that's great. So, it looks like we're going to be trying to have a show after the next meeting.
Yep. And
to come out with basically with questions like that we thought of maybe the next day after actually listening in at the meeting like you said,
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, just like you said, the next day or the same night, you always kind of wonder like, oh, why, or man, I wish I would have asked that question. So that's basically what you're talking about.
Yeah, and we'll get better, and one day we'll look back at this one and kind of laugh.
Yeah. I laugh at all the videos anyway. But anyway, it's just basically about information.
That's it.
That's what it really is about.
I really believe that in just about anything, ignorance is the real enemy.
It is, 100%.
And ignorance simply means that you don't know.
Exactly. That's actually why we started doing these little podcasts, and people call them low budget or whatever, but it's actually, if you listen to them, we're actually trying to give information out.
Right.
And that's what you want to do too. And, and together, man, I think we could get out some good information.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. Information is it. I'm not for the chief. I'm not against him. I'm for the city of Selma and not costing us any more money than we need to.
Yes.
Plain and simple. It's our money.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Mr. Fedor. Then
thank you, sir.
Until the next meeting.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Hey, and if you guys can, like the video and subscribe. All right. Thanks.
Bye.